literally the first sentence of your reel is huge. You choose to keep scrolling or stay and watch in that first second.
I really want to give out original, authentic content. Well, Thomas, we did it, man. We're finally sitting here having our very first welcome episode, right? Of the podcast.
Welcome, everybody.
Yeah. So this is the Sidekick Show that we've decided.
Yep.
We're going to have some pretty interesting guests coming on soon. Well, man, as the first episode, I think I have no idea what to talk about. But for those who don't know who we are, my name's Sam. I am the owner of Roofers Sidekick. And introduce yourself.
I'm Thomas. I help out with the media and social media, marketing, editing, anything that has to do with video I help out with pretty much.
Yeah, I think, Thomas, you've been a huge asset in our business because, we're coming up now on the 3rd year in business. We'll be hitting 3 years next month, which is a pretty big milestone.
Yeah, that's big.
The first year and a half I was doing everything in the business pretty much by myself. My wife was helping a little bit, but yeah, 95% of the bulk of the work I was doing.
That's crazy.
And I was still trying my darndest to post every day, right? They were just simple posts. I would sit up and, crawl in bed at 11 o'clock at night, and then for an hour I would sit there and just go through and create like as many of these posts as I could, and then just try and hopefully remember to post them every day. And then I would run out.
That's like a job in and of itself, not to mention all the other stuff you had to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely time consuming, but I did that for the first year and a half, and then even into the second year, finally I did hire a couple of people to come in and help us manage our claims and write some scopes and stuff.
Yeah.
But I've always kind of had this passion to like do graphic design and stuff, so I still do a lot of that stuff for us, Matter of fact, I would say now the bulk of my time in this business is doing graphic design.
Yeah, because I try, but I'm more on the video side of
things. Yeah, no, you do a great job at the video editing. So how long have you been with us now?
I got hired, I think that was early March.
Okay, so
we're filming this right now in early July, so that's about
4 months? 4 months?
Yeah.
About 4 months now?
4 or 5 months, somewhere in there.
Yeah. I can tell you the past 5 months, it's funny, I thought, okay, I'll bring Thomas on. I'll bring you on and things will get easier for me. I think it has proved to be quite the opposite.
That's also, if you don't mind me going on a little tangent, that's also because I think when you brought me on, what you had in mind for us to be doing was a lot simpler. And then as we got into it, it was very easy at first and it was very simple. But then we started seeing like other content, or you're like, whoa, that looks really good. I want to try and do that. Or just what we realized we were capable of got a lot more complicated, but it's also a lot better quality, I think, too.
I think so, too. Just yesterday, in kind of preparation for this welcome video, this first, I don't want to call it the first episode of the podcast, but sort of our welcome episode.
Yeah.
I was sitting on Instagram, and I told you this morning, I was like, hey, I went all the way back, right to the very beginning. I was like, I just want to see what content were we creating before Thomas got here. Was any of it successful? Found a few things, and that sort of sparked a thing. I think it was probably 2:30 last night, or this morning.
Around there.
I was sitting, and I was just we use Discord, right? So we use Discord. Those that don't use Discord in your business, Thomas actually does a pretty good, was it a reel on our Instagram?
Yeah, about using threads.
Yeah, the
Discord threads.
So we have a threads, I think this one was just called Ideas.
Ideas for videos, yeah.
And I just basically go in and say, hey, here's a hook, here's a topic, here's my conclusion, here's my call to action. What did I do? I made like 8 of those?
Yeah, at like, between the hours of like 1:45 a.m., not p.m., to like 3 a.m. I was trying to go to sleep because I got here at like 9 a.m. this morning. And my phone just keeps buzzing. It's like, hook, conclusion, idea, hook, conclusion. I'm like, how many of these is he making right now?
Yeah. Well, but the thing is, though, is that I think bringing you on has kept me accountable because every once in a while you'll be like, hey, Sam, I have nothing to do starting tomorrow. And I'm like, great, I've got to go film like a week's worth of reels today or tomorrow. And I'll be like, hey, why don't you come over? Let's film a bunch of stuff. And then you'll kind of have that. And now, I think the first 3 months you were with us, you were just like creating we would make the content, you would edit it, caption it, get it together. And you would just kind of save them in Discord in like a finished video thread.
Yeah.
And then every single day.
Yeah, every day. So on my computer, I would finish editing them, render it out, and then I would throw it into the finished videos thread that we have. And that was kind of acting as my schedule, because I would post them in the order that I sent them in that chat. So at that point, whatever I was doing that day, because at that point I was only working 3 days with Roofers Sidekick.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So even on the days that I wasn't technically working, I would have to go into Discord on my phone, save the video to my phone, and then go to the Instagram app and post it and go through that whole process.
Yeah.
And then if I didn't have good enough signal, there was so many issues with that. Like if I didn't have good enough signal, the video just would not save to my phone. I remember texting you a few times because I'd be out of town and I'd be like in the middle of the woods. I'm like, Sam, it will not save to my phone. Please post this video.
Well, and thank goodness, right, that you had, even though we're not doing it this way, at the time it was still better than it could have been. At least you had still put the videos in the finished video thread. So I already was able to have access to the finished video, and you already kind of had your captions. I think you would copy and paste and put those in there too, where I would say, what's the caption you want to use or whatever.
Yep.
I think there was twice where it was probably... We were coming up on almost being 24 hours since we posted. Yeah. Like we were, sometimes maybe even we had gone past that threshold already. And I would even text you, Thomas, where's the post today, bro? And you're like, dude, I've been trying, I don't have signal. Or sometimes you text me. And thankfully, I mean, we were so committed though, I think, to getting the post out that if I remember right, for those that don't know, Thomas and I have occasionally played in a band together for a very short period of time.
For like it was like a month.
Yeah, basically like 5 or 6 weeks practice, and then we just did like one show, which hopefully we can do more of that soon. But
it would be very cool.
We were in the middle of the show, I believe, and I'm like, dude, we still have to post today.
Yeah, I remember because you were, I think, doing like lighting, sound, you were like doing all that kind of stuff, and I was playing drums. So I remember we got done with the show and we went to eat. And we were sitting there, and you kind of like nudged me because you were sitting next to me, and you were just like,
"Oh yeah,
hey, by the way, I know you were a little busy, but I did the post for today." And I was just like, "Oh yeah," because I was so in the zone of playing. But I'm sure this is what you're getting to. I'm gonna go ahead and take us there.
Sure.
Now we actually use a scheduler, and it is so much nicer than having to post every single day. So if y'all don't know, Adobe, which is we use for content. I use it literally daily.
Yeah.
There's not a day that I work doing this stuff that I don't use Adobe.
Adobe has a lot of haters.
Really?
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at any of the big content creators, like MKBHD, I'm pretty sure he and Linus, like they all hate on Adobe constantly. But
hey, it works for what we do.
We use it a ton.
And I'll be honest, for short form content, I think it's great. I don't know if I would use like Adobe Express to make an entire like long formatted YouTube channel. I don't think you
could, but even like Premiere you could use.
Yeah, exactly. But Adobe has a scheduler, and it is so nice. You upload your video. You don't have to do it individually. You can do the posts for each platform right there in one go. It is so nice because we use it to post on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn,
and Facebook.
You can go in, do your caption. You can even, for Instagram, they have the preview, which is how the video will look on your profile. So you can go in and even change that in Adobe. I don't know if you noticed that. And you can do the captions, add your hashtags.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's nice. And I just hit schedule like right now. Right now we're getting close to the end of what I have scheduled out. But, I mean,
Which is
I don't
crazy
think
because I just looked at it yesterday and
there's a lot on there.
you're still scheduled like clear like over the next 3 weeks. You just have gaps in there.
Yeah, I just need to fill in some of the gaps.
Which I think all the content's created.
It's close to it.
You know,
It's
because
close
I think
to it.
we've sort of changed the strategy, right? Because we were doing real every day, 2 or 3 stories every day. And what is our current?
The current schedule that we've changed to is Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday.
Our reels?
Yeah.
And then we're going to fill in with post in between, is that right? Maybe? Something
For
we
the
can
most
talk
part.
about?
Yeah, that's something we can talk about.
Maybe we haven't talked about that yet. But
I don't think we have.
Okay, that was kind of my thought.
Okay.
Because I think, you know, and you and I too were talking about the algorithm, right? It's always changing.
Oh, yeah. Constantly.
And now, so sort of what I was kind of getting at too is like and I guess now I'm like we're breaking off into 2 different sections, but I'll try and stay focused real quick and we'll jump back to the scheduler thing, is if we can create content that people want to share.
Yeah.
I think that's where the algorithm is right now.
Because right now we had a video hit 1,500 views.
Yeah.
Which in this roofing industry is very good.
I mean, it's good for our channel.
True.
We're at.
But also roofing is such a niche.
It's so tiny.
There's not that many people that's going to be watching a roofing video. Obviously, there's exceptions.
Yeah,
some channels get a lot of views.
There are a lot of influencers, I'll call them, in the roofing space. And by a lot, I mean 10. Okay? I mean, for the roofing space to be how small it is, I mean, it's bigger than people might think. But there's only, I would say, 10 to 15 that are, like, big.
Yeah.
And even for those big ones, they're not breaking through 1,000 very often. And when they do, it's because either there's one person in particular, his content is just so on point.
Yeah.
But outside of him, unless you're paying to promote that stuff, most of them are not getting past 1,000 very often. So I feel like anytime we get over 1,000, I feel good. 1,500.
Oh, yeah. Same.
If we can get 2,000, and I think we've kind of hit this area where we're getting 800. And I think getting that 800 almost consistently is like this. I think we're finally figuring out what's working.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think, we said I've been here about 4 to 5 months. I think just in the last month, we've improved so much, mainly with like the concept of the reels and the like scripting.
The scripting's huge.
Getting that initial hook in a video has changed so much. Just like literally the first sentence of your reel is huge. Like, because if you think about it, if you're laying in bed at night and you're scrolling on TikTok or you're scrolling on Instagram, you choose to keep scrolling or stay and watch in that first second.
Yeah, I think they say it's you have 2 seconds now.
Pretty much
2 seconds to capture attention.
Yep.
Yeah, and dude, as much as I try, it's not like an automatic easy thing to come up with a good hook.
Oh, it's not.
Especially one that doesn't repeat. But then you and I talked, and it was like, who cares if it repeats every single time? The algorithm doesn't care.
Yeah.
I think that's more of a personal thing for me. Is I really want to give out original, authentic content. And what we're finding is original, authentic content isn't what people stick around to watch past 2 seconds.
On short form, that's true.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of... So for those of you who don't know, I've been into content creation for a lot longer than just since I've been working with Sam. Before I started working with Sam, I've been live streaming on Twitch, making YouTube videos, and posting reels and TikToks for... Oh man, how long has it been now? I would say probably since before the pandemic, but it got a lot more prevalent during the pandemic because I was sitting at home. I was like 18 years old. I had nothing to do. I've digested a lot of content about creating content. And on YouTube, the biggest creators will usually say to be genuine, to be yourself. Because on YouTube, it's extremely obvious to tell. And it's funny because TikTok is like the complete opposite. Yeah. You have to pander. You have to get the hooks. You have to have bright, colorful subtitles. it's crazy to me the difference between the two platforms.
And I think finding the balance in that is so big, you know. And I think too, like bringing one of the things I'll say bringing you on did for our brand too, and we were kind of talking about this earlier, like our logos, our brand, our appearance. If anybody, and we could probably put our Instagram handle like right here, right in the middle.
I'll probably do a screenshot of the whole.
If you'll like click right here, and you want to scroll down through our Instagram, you'll be able to see. Man, just you can kind of tell the evolution of like every 3 to 4 months over the past 3 years.
Yeah. How
that has completely changed.
There's shifts, and I'll put a link to our Instagram in the description. Go click that, by the way. Follow.
Nice shout out.
I mean, you can watch just the content we've made since March. Has had like, I would say there's like 3 evolutions.
Dude, already.
There's the first stage, which was about maybe 3 weeks. I don't think it lasted very long. But where I was subtitling everything manually in DaVinci Resolve. And it would take me so long. There's this one video we recorded where we tried to do a loop. We were in a park, and you were walking around this table.
Yeah, looking back, it's pretty embarrassing. It was an ultimate fail.
It was. But what you talk about is still nice. But the loop failed completely. But the whole video is just Sam walking around this table, just talking for the whole thing. No pauses, nothing. And I think I literally spent an entire day of work just subtitling that one video.
Yeah, I felt it. I'm like, how much did I pay you to make this video? Thanks a lot.
A lot. But, so there was that first stage where everything was done in DaVinci. The videos were kind of just whatever we felt like doing.
Yeah. The thing is, we were putting a lot more time into filming back then.
Oh, we were. We would spend whole entire days just to go film reels, which is crazy to think about now.
Because at the time, we didn't have this studio.
Oh, this wasn't even, I don't think this was even thought of yet.
No, we didn't have the green screen, right? Which is hanging right above us. We can drop that right here in this spot, right? So I think having this too has expedited.
100%, because you can just come in here, either get behind the green screen or sit right here in these chairs and film like 7 TikToks.
Yeah.
And I've even started filming stuff at my house. There was one week where most of the videos, I mean, you can go and look at the channel and just scroll through and see, most of them were filmed at my house or in my room, or I even had one out in my driveway where I ran around and sped it up. But I think we've just gotten
superhero.
Yeah, we've just gotten a lot more efficient at filming. Yeah. And that reflects when you're scrolling through. Because you'll see it goes from us being like in a city square or out in the woods to green screens and just in the driveway.
I think too, our brand identity, right? We were talking a little about that, has just changed because it really has been such a gradual sort of evolving stage where
100%.
it's hard to say like where the switch was, but I do know if you look through the Instagram, you can see the point where it went from like, okay, we have this masked dog, which by the way his name is Scopes.
Very important.
He's our mascot, but Scopes is not a single dog, right? Scopes represents all of the Sidekick dogs that we have, right? So every single year, and it has sort of been coincidental, it hasn't been on purpose, but every year on like our anniversary, so the first time within like the first month of this business starting, I ended up reaching out and getting like a little dog mascot made, right? We can put him up here somewhere. And then after that, I sort of was like, oh, AI can make stuff. That's pretty cool. It made this little dog. And then we got Scopes. Scopes was finally, he's been our mascot for the past year plus a little bit.
Yeah.
And, you know, our business is Virtual Scopes. And then it was like, we're the Roofers Sidekick. It's still Virtual Scopes. We used that name. And then it went back and forth. The dog, this. Never did it ever occur to me, hey, the brand is sort of comic book. Like, I don't think that brand identity hit until you got on board. And you started making these reels. I was like, you know what would be really cool is there's one video where I go, wow, something like that. And I was like, what if it said wow?
Yeah.
And I was like, that'd be amazing. And I was like, let's start using these little comic pop-out, bubbles, right? These little things. And then we sort of started making more of our, like, then we kind of had the every roofer needs a sidekick bubble, right?
Yes, I used that so much.
We kind of have that one.
And then
It's sort of... Go ahead.
There was another one, too, if you watched during those early reels. There was another one that just said, get a sidekick.
Oh, yeah, that was actually the first one.
I threw that in so much.
That's right. I forgot about that one because... And that actually came because of my sister, who was working with me at the time.
Mm-hmm. We
were working on the website together, and I think it was her and 2 of my employees out in Texas were working. We were all together. We were kind of brainstorming, looking at the website. It's kind of a slow week or day or whatever. So let's just work together on the website. And we're like, it'd be cool if you had like a button they could press that would take you this. So initially it was like a red box, and it had like just a dog. Didn't even have a mask or a cape on. Just a hound dog. And it just said, get a sidekick. I don't even know if you've ever even seen that. I've never
seen that.
I'll show that to you.
I've scrolled through so much in Adobe. I've never seen that one.
I'll show it to you, and if you want, you can even put it right here.
Yeah.
So it went from that, and then it was like almost literally within 2 days, I was like, you know what? Let's put this little star. And I think now that you mention it, that's where it all started.
Yeah.
Right there on the website with that star.
Because that one evolved, get a sidekick, turned into every roofer needs a sidekick. And then I remember we updated every roofer needs a sidekick like 3 times before we finally got to the version we still use.
Yeah.
Like it's literally on your hat.
Yeah, I think it's on my hat. It's also on your sleeve.
It's right here. Yeah.
So we use that a lot, and then I think this is the 3rd version of that. I think that kind of stuck. It just looks better.
Because it's not a huge difference, but like the first one, where is it? The little star, the text was fully inside the star.
Yeah. And
it was like really small, and on videos I would have to like blow it up. But then you changed it to where the text goes outside of the box, and it made it so much easier. I could make it smaller. I could like put it in a corner. Yeah.
I think it's just really cool to like go back and look at what we've been doing, and I think you'd probably agree. I think we're literally about to hit that brand new threshold, right?
There's about to be another change,
and because we have the logo right that you have on your shirt, on your hat.
Yep.
That's sort of been our. I think I introduced that logo.
Where is it? There we go. That one. Oh wow.
Yeah.
This mirrored thing's messing with me.
Yeah.
It's right there.
That logo right there, which we could put up here too.
Yeah, that's probably the easier thing to do.
Has been. I designed that after you started working for us.
Yeah, we made a video about it.
That logo's only like 4 months old.
Yeah.
And I remember my wife was always like, oh, great, you changed the logo again. Wouldn't it be nice if you could stick with something? And I'm like, yeah, it is kind of annoying. But it symbolizes so much more than just like, oh, we created a new logo. It's coming to this point where we're like finding that brand. To the point where we even think we found other people in our space.
Yeah.
That are starting to mimic our comic book style.
Yeah, 100%. Not gonna say anybody's names. See, I'll open up the Instagram to like go and like a few posts or repost somebody's story. And yeah, there's sometimes I see it and it's like, this looks just like something me and Sam made like 2 days ago.
And these are people who are connected to us, right?
Yes, yeah. But I'll also say there have been some brands that have had this style in their own way.
Sure.
And that's not who I'm talking about. Like, there have been some who's been doing the comic book thing right along with us, but they have their own colors, their own fonts. It looks a lot different from our comic book style.
Yep.
Then there's some people who it looks like they took our colors, our fonts. It's like, what is this?
I'm just waiting on them to come up with a dog wearing a mask.
Yeah, for real. It makes you wonder. Like, there's no way to know for sure.
Right.
But it's like,
and it doesn't bother me, right? I mean, we've got copyrights and trademarks on a ton of our stuff.
Yeah, it's like ultimately they're not really stealing anything.
And imitation's the best form of flattery, right? And I would be a hypocrite if I sat here and said I've never looked at someone's content and been like, ooh, I want to make something like that.
100%. Especially in my own content, like not related to Roofers Sidekick. Oh, there's so much stuff I take inspiration from.
Yeah.
I've had whole videos that were basically ripping off ideas. But I think that's the main thing is you don't rip off straight up the content. That's just not cool.
Right.
But ripping off the idea is like kind of different. I'm trying to think of an example. Like there's this one video I watched where it was a tribute to a certain video game. And it was just him talking about how much he loved the game, how much it's affected his life, because that game is the reason he got famous. And so I made a video in talking about a tribute to another game. The whole idea of the video is very ripped off, but the actual content was like completely different. And I think that's kind of what's happening in what we're talking about on Instagram, is like the ideas are kind of getting ripped off, like in terms of the color schemes and stuff like that, but what they're actually posting is very different, I think.
Yeah, it is. And there's some roofing companies that we would love to partner with, right?
Every hero needs a sidekick.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, if you have the word hero in your name, we want to be your sidekick. I mean, it's simple as that. And there's a few others. There's even a company now near us. I was chasing down their car the other day.
Oh, I saw that. That was funny.
They have a dog with a mask and a cape. It's red. And they're local. And I don't know if you know this, but that wasn't their name 2 months ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So I'm not taking that one personal, because you could be a client of mine, not a competitor. But we need to work together. You know who you are. Hopefully you watch this.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, and I did DM you on Instagram, so please. Anyway, back to the scheduler, right? I want to talk about the scheduler again, because how has scheduling that, right? Because you have a set amount of hours you work for us. How has using the scheduler allowed you? What has it given you the ability to do? Like, if that question makes any sense.
Honestly, it's been more mental than it has like an actual physical time help. Because realistically, it didn't take that much time to post every day, like manually. But after about a month or two, it wasn't that bad. I could probably post in like 10 minutes max to all the platforms. The thing was, though, it was that mental thing of just knowing, okay, at some point today I've got to do this post.
Like always on your mind.
Yeah, at some point today I've got to come up with the caption. I've got to try new hashtags. Like, it was just a constant mental thing that was on my mind. Now, whenever I make a video, I immediately put it into the scheduler. I still send it into our Discord, that way you can see it. But there's really no time between me hitting render project to it being in the scheduler. And I can go ahead and do the caption, I can do the hashtags, I can do the thumbnail, and it's just done, ready to go, and I don't have to think about it again. Like right now, today is Friday. There's going to be a post today. I don't even remember what today's post is. That's how long ago I scheduled it out. The post for today, this Friday, has probably been scheduled out for about 3 to 4 weeks now. I don't remember what it is.
I don't know what it is.
Exactly. So I think the big benefit has really been, that's just one less thing I have to worry about, and it's helped me to focus on other aspects of the job. And it's a big benefit.
I think too, like for you and I think we do work as a pretty good team, because I'm always like, hey Thomas, there's like, obviously my job as an owner is to watch the dollar, right? I don't want to pay you less. I just want to get more work for the money, right? So I'm like, is there some way we can cut this time in half? Can we save time here? Can we save time here? And not even can we save time, can we use the extra time we have to make the product better?
Oh yeah. I mean, we definitely have done that. I remember when I first started, it was like 7.5, 8 hours a day, just how the schedule worked, only working 3 days. And I would only get done with like 3 videos.
Yeah.
I can get done with 3 videos in like an hour.
Yeah, I think the first couple of weeks I was like, I don't know if this is going to work out, Thomas.
It just took time.
It did.
I had never edited for a professional thing. It was always just a side hobby of mine.
Yeah. So
it took a minute, but
dude, I'm super happy with it now, and like we've been able to bring in some cool tools, right? Like the scheduler, right? And one of the things that probably all of our employees complain about me is it's one of those like blessings and a curse thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is like I'm always trying to improve. Like constantly make this thing better.
Yeah.
Make the process more smooth. Make it more efficient. That can be annoying when people are getting into a groove. And then I'm like, hey, I think we can change and make this thing this much better. Let's do it. And I know for you, one of the things that I sort of stipulated was like, hey, this at the end of the day, this is still my business, my content, right? My stuff representing my livelihood, you know, everything we work for.
Mm-hmm.
Send me what we're posting so I can just watch it.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're good. I want to make sure we're on point. So even now we're 4 or 5 months in, you'll send me something, and it's not often, but every once in a while I'm like, hey, I think we're making sort of another brand upgrade. Let's get rid of that, and how about using this instead?
Yeah, and it's usually nothing like dramatic.
No, like
usually it's just I made this different logo.
Yeah.
For this scene.
Yeah,
so
it's usually
just
something
replace
simple.
the logo, and then it's like takes like 5 minutes.
It's usually something simple where it's like, hey, we have this old phone number inside of a red bubble. Yeah, we're gonna stop using that, by the way, because it's horrible looking. We can do so much better. And I think too, it's like simplifying, because as much as I want to go after that comic book cartoonish style, there's a fine line between it looking like a child and being clean, organized, and elegant. Because we definitely position ourselves as a very light-hearted brand.
Mm-hmm.
But if you compare what we do with other people in the market, we are sort of a premium product.
Yeah.
Premium service.
There's not that many people at all that offer exactly what we do, if really any.
I don't think there's anybody.
Like there's definitely companies that do aspects of our business, but they don't do it to the degree that we do, and they also don't offer as many things as we do. We cover what our business does covers so many other businesses. Like certain aspects of our business could be their own business. Well, but it's just what we offer.
You're absolutely right, because you even said to me last week, you're like, you know, I think it'd be really cool if, like, you know, our whole company got together like once a month.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's departments in our business that you like never, ever, ever interact with those people. Never.
The only time I ever interact with them, I mean, the Instagram and viewers would know them, Taylor and Felipe.
Yeah.
I like that video series we shot one day, the Employee Spotlight series, which I really liked how those turned out. But that was all shot in like one afternoon, and I believe that is the only time I've ever interacted with them outside of just like hanging out.
Yeah.
Like in a professional work environment, that video shoot has been it.
Well, and you've never even met our employees in Texas.
Nope, never.
Right? And the other, you know, employees, which we don't have anymore in Georgia, and then of course our the girl we had working for us down in Orlando, Florida.
Never.
Right? We've got all these different departments. They honestly kind of run like individual businesses, right? Yeah. Like we have the whole marketing department, you know, and now we have Rich, who's just sort of coming on with us. Yeah. You know, he's really going to sort of run his own division just under our brand. Mm-hmm. You know, you kind of run a division under your brand.
Yeah.
You've got Felipe and Taylor, who they kind of, I mean, I'll go 2.5 weeks sending 1 or 2 text messages or Discord messages between me and them, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, that runs by itself.
They're good at what they do.
Our accounting department, nobody even knows what she does. Like, she's always sending out, keeping up. She makes sure nothing's getting missed. But these are all departments, right? Like, we offer payroll services. People don't even realize that. Mm-hmm. And some people might say, like, oh, you guys take on too much. How can you be good at any one thing? It's like, because every single person I've hired is really good at the thing I brought them in for.
Like, let's say like me and Felipe. We're both of us, I feel like, are very capable guys.
Yeah, I think so.
I would like to think so. But, like, there's no way, like, if you told me today, hey, Thomas, Felipe's out of work. He's sick. Can you cover him today? No.
Yeah.
Or Thomas is going to be sick for a week. Felipe, can you edit his videos? No. At least I don't think he could. I've never known him to be able to
Yeah,
edit.
I don't know. I'm sure you can figure it out.
I'm sure.
I'm sure you both can figure it out.
But I don't think he could just seamlessly transition. Because, like, I know at previous places that I've worked, that's kind of how it is. Like,
everyone's cross-trained.
Exactly. Everyone is cross-trained. But that's also
there's
because...
a benefit, but also a downside to that.
Exactly. And with this, I think it's pretty cool, in my opinion. I like it, because it kind of also, as an employee, it helps you feel more special. Because at those other places where everyone is cross-trained, it kind of feels like no one's really important.
Right.
And you could just get replaced like that. And people do get replaced just like that.
Yeah.
It's happened to me before.
Yeah.
So having it to where everyone has their thing that they do, they're very good at it, it helps you know, okay, I'm not just going to get replaced next month.
Yeah.
Like, I have something good here.
I think that's cool too, like bringing in, like, let's say Rich, like he's in your realm of things, right? So if something did happen to you, he could certainly take over.
Yeah, I think Rich definitely good.
And I think vice versa, you guys complement each other. Then you've got Felipe, and you've got Cedric, you've got Taylor, you've got Cynthia, you've got Natalie, who was with us for a while, the girl who was down in Orlando, like that whole team, they're all completely cross-trained in each other's businesses. Then you've got Autumn, who she's cross-trained to do basically everything. Like she's made marketing content. Yeah. She's made some of our comic books.
She's probably more cross-trained than anybody is.
She's very skilled in exact. I mean, honestly, she probably is the most cross-trained person that we have in the business. A lot of that is just she's been around the longest. You know, she was here day one, right?
Yeah, from ground up.
So, I think cross-training is important, but I think also having these sort of divisions where there's obviously a split between producing a product and service, and then the selling and advertising and marketing that product and service.
It kind of reminds me of how, like, in the medical field, they have specialists. It's like they do have just general doctors, but then there's also specialists for, like, really specific things. I don't know a lot about the medical field. That's as far as I'm going to go with that example, because I don't want to be wrong. But that's kind of what I think of it. It's like I could probably be trained in something else. I mean, I definitely could. But I feel like I'm kind of like a specialist when it comes to editing and marketing and stuff.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how I think about it. It's just like everybody has something they're better at.
I think
and so you use people to their strengths.
So now, which in a couple of podcasts from now, we're going to be meeting with Matt, who's the owner of M&M, right? He's scheduled to be on the podcast. And I know for him, we're handling his media.
Yeah.
Social marketing, right? So we've kind of got that now, which when he comes on, I'm sure we're going to be able to talk about all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But with that, a lot of our audience watching, hopefully most of the audience is roofing companies.
I would imagine.
I don't know who else would be watching this. I mean, so far what we've talked about has really been applicable for any business, period, that's doing marketing. But now, we don't have a whole lot of time left. I want to kind of get into sort of why are we... Let me just ask you this question. So, what have you seen... you're in the space with roofing. We have a lot of roofers that follow us. We keep up with a lot of roofing content now. What's the good, the bad, and the ugly that you see in their social media and in their marketing as far as, like, even what their yard signs look like?
Yeah. First off, the good, I would have to say a lot of the roofing guys, especially the literal roofing business contractors, a lot of their stuff comes across as very genuine. Which, like we talked about earlier, is rare on TikTok and Instagram.
So you're saying the people who own the companies or the people who are doing the work?
Both.
Okay.
At least in my opinion, from what I've seen.
So people who were actually in the installation side of the business. Like they own a company
yes.
that is a roofing business.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I've seen a lot of videos of like guys on the roof and they're showing things on the roof, or they're doing a sketch with their employees on the roof and stuff like that. And I always like those videos because it feels like you and your buddy are up on your roof. You're like, oh, this will be a funny video. And then you just record it and then they put it on their social media. It's genuine. With that in mind, getting into some of that bad side, there's like two different sides to the social media. I feel like in this roofing niche, either it's way overproduced with like really loud music, really flashy animations. It's like they're trying to be Mr. Beast, but for roofing. Or it's the exact opposite, and you got this guy on a roof, it's in like 144p, and he's trying to give an informative video, but you can barely understand him because all you can hear is the wind hitting the phone's mic.
Oh, yeah.
It's there. So there you have the two extremes, and I feel like that's all I see. There's not a lot of content that's just right down the middle. It's either very corporatized and very produced, or not at all.
Now, isn't there... You kind of got me thinking... There was a post where one of the guys says, you know, one of the really important things about posting or social media is you have to, like, post every single day. And then they don't post every single day on there.
Yeah, there was a... Yeah.
You can tell the story.
Not being a hypocrite is a pretty big thing. Like, there was a company... I will just say they've blocked us for some reason. Because I tried looking at their page.
Genuinely, they blocked us.
Genuinely, I'm not even exaggerating. I tried looking at their page, and it was what you see when you're blocked by
somebody. And they didn't block us because, like, we never messaged them.
Yeah, we never reached out.
Reached out to them.
We had no interaction other than, like, liking their posts.
Like, maybe 3 ever.
Yeah. So
anyway, you know who you are.
It was weird. If they can even see the video, we're blocked, so... But yeah, so they had a post where it was their marketing guy, and he was talking about the importance of posting daily.
They're definitely going to block us now.
Oh yeah, 100%. But then you go to their page, and they only post like every 4 days.
Right after he had just said you have to post every day.
I mean, and I get, he was probably trying to say the importance of posting regularly, but the point of the matter is he verbatimly said every day. So I know that's something we've tried very hard, is if we talk about something in our content, we actually do it.
Oh, I mean, we try.
We try. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but...
And I'm not going to sit here and say you have to post every day.
Yeah, because we've recently changed.
We've changed our strategy, anymore. And actually posting every day can hurt.
Yeah. I've noticed our views have gone up since we changed to target specific days.
It's almost like Instagram was like, you know what, we're going to give you 2,000 views every 4 days.
Yeah.
You can spread them out or you can use them collectively.
Basically.
Your choice. But no, as people have shared, every time we get one share, we get like an extra 200 views.
Yeah, I've noticed
because when we have like 15 or 1,600 on now, I think has 5 or 6 shares. Mm-hmm. And then it's just really interesting. So that we have a buddy of mine, right? He's in the 2 million view range on some of his videos, mm-hmm. right?
Yep.
What strategy have you seen him using that you think has made that?
Yeah, so he's the exception, and I mean that 100%. Like, I'm not even being like sarcastic or rude. You know who you are. You'll probably watch this video. Somehow he's one of those guys that just takes out his phone, he records something, and he puts it on there, which I mentioned earlier can be bad, but I should probably reach out to him at some point and see how he's doing this, because like you said, he's had videos get in the millions, and I'm not talking about one viral video. He's had like 2 or 3 take off and get in the millions. He's got a bunch that get like 10K, and he is on it in terms of Instagram. I think it's more of a quantity over quality type of strategy, which apparently can work. I always thought for Instagram it was more quality over quantity, but like I said, he's proven that wrong. He takes out his phone, does his thing, and I mean, it works. He gets views, he gets likes. He also does a lot of live streaming on Instagram, which I think is huge for like the algorithm viewing your channel as an active channel.
I will say, we've gotten a client virtually every time I've gone on like a serious live.
Yeah.
Going live has really made a huge difference. Yeah. So,
and I will say too, for his content, he's got to know what he's doing. I do, now that we're talking about this, I'm thinking about it more. I want to reach out to him because he doesn't have that problem I mentioned where like his audio quality is terrible. Usually whatever he's filming is in frame and it's focused, but it's still just quick and on his phone. It's like he's applying the principles of like what we're doing with a setup and mic quality, but on the go with his phone. And I still haven't gotten that. When I try and record on my phone, it looks terrible. It's grainy. My audio is all shaky.
Probably an iPhone issue.
It's probably an iPhone issue. Gotta see what kind of phone he has. But he doesn't have that problem. So, yeah. It's interesting what he's able to do.
I think, too, so sort of two topics I can think about on that subject.
Mm-hmm.
One, he does own a roofing business, but he does a lot of very fine specialty work for a lot of other contractors.
Yeah.
So his content is being pushed, yes, to homeowners, but I think most of his success comes because other roofing contractors are seeing his content and they're hiring him to do these small, very specialty, high-ticket, like copper work.
Yeah.
And so I think for him that works because he's reaching the right audience.
Yeah. And that's key, is knowing your audience.
Because some of these roofing companies, their audience is exclusively homeowners that need a roof.
Yeah, which there's nothing wrong with that.
It's fine. That's the audience.
It's just an audience.
In a specific area. And that can be a lot harder to manage. Trying to reach homeowners who need a roof in a specific area.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, that leads to sort of my second topic is roofing companies, should they be creating this content and trying to get these views? Like, should they have the expectation that they're going to get a bunch of homeowners to sign up and buy roofs?
Absolutely not.
Right. So what's...
Absolutely not.
So as a roofing company, then what's even the point of having a social media presence?
So there's multiple ways you can answer that question. The first that comes to my mind is when you are in a position that someone has, they've called you, or a sales guy has knocked on their door, and a person wants proof of your work. There's your Instagram. You can either send it to them, you can show it to them on your tablet, and there's proof of your jobs. They can see previous jobs. They can see other people in the company talking about your jobs. It is a proof of your craftsmanship. Another thing is, while it's obvious you should not expect a bunch of views. Like we said, roofing is a small niche, but it's not necessarily about how many people you're reaching, but the type of people you're reaching. If your reel only gets, say, 100 views, but they're all like 15-year-olds for some reason, that's going to do nothing. If your reel gets 100,000 views, but none of them are homeowners, that's going to do nothing. If your reel gets 10 views, but they're all homeowners who for some reason are all in the same area and they just got hit by a hailstorm, you'll probably end up getting a client your video is good enough.
So that sort of brings me into like the importance of them targeting.
Yeah. So
I'll say one of the things that I see as a huge problem in the industry is these roofing companies. We have one client who's really bad about this. He's so spread out across the whole state that he's 4 hours between salespeople.
Ooh.
Like, and you're trying to, how much money you're gonna spend if you're gonna try and promote and put that content out there, even in people on the other side of the state in that market that you're working in, they're not even gonna see that content that you're creating.
Yeah.
I mean, you could try and target location and Instagram, whatever you're posting on. You can try and add location and add it as the state.
Yeah.
But what's that really going to get you, right? So my big suggestion, and actually this client of ours is now implementing it. Hey, we're going to take over your Instagram, your social media. Not only are we going to do the content posting, but we're also going to help you generate content, right? So he came into the studio. We'll be able to do some of that stuff. For him, I said, you need to shut your other markets down. Like, you're not big enough yet to do that. You've got 9 salespeople spread across the entire state. Why don't you try and focus on one city? And not even the city. Let's do a suburb of the city. Focus there. Let's expand. Now we can if we put $100 into that in targeting right after a hailstorm, we can get all the way down to specific zip codes.
Yeah.
Target people that are in this certain age group.
Yep.
Right? And now we're targeting people who are between the ages of 34 and 65.
Which is usually who owns the homes.
Who owns the homes, our ideal customer. They're not in a retirement community where the HOA takes care of the roof already.
Yeah.
Right?
And they're also not my age where I'm barely making rent.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. People under 30 probably aren't ever going to own a house in their lifetime. Exactly. Not a lot of them anyway. So that $100 is going to go a lot further. Mm-hmm. Even if you don't spend money, just targeting that in your approach. I also think, too, having the social media presence isn't necessarily about trying to capture those customers. I think it's a lot of just brand identity and proof.
It is, because repetition is very key. Because if someone sees one video of you, they'll probably like it and be like, okay, that's cool, and they'll just keep scrolling. If they see you pop up multiple times, I know when I'm scrolling through Instagram, I follow a few other creators who just make silly reels. But that's because every night before I'm going to bed and I'm scrolling through my algorithm, I keep seeing them. And it took me 3 or 4 times of constantly seeing their reels and be like, oh, these people are funny, for me to hit that follow button. For me to interact further than just a like and a scroll.
Yeah.
Well, and so that is key, is just continuing to make that content, because then people are going to see you, they're going to become more familiar with you, and that's when they'll start interacting.
Yeah. And I think if I was going to give one nugget, piece of advice, one sort of like golden nugget, if you've, I've been on other people's podcasts, right? Mm-hmm. I'm always going to have one golden nugget, right?
Yeah.
I always say this.
Even with our own podcast.
Even with our own, right? One golden nugget. If you have an Instagram and it looks good, and you can go to a door and you're knocking, and that homeowner says, no, not interested, whatever, you don't have to walk away empty-handed. Let your Instagram account or your social media, whatever, let it sell for you later. Say, okay, could I ask just one small favor of you? Could you pull out your phone and follow us on Instagram, and then I'll get out of here?
Yeah.
There's no harm in asking.
Mm-hmm. The worst they'll do is just say no. And then you just walk away.
50% of the time, they're going to say, what is it? What's your Instagram? Sure. Because especially if you've got the door pitch that we teach in our Psychic Academy, it sort of lends itself into bringing that subject up on a no. It's like, hey, last ditch effort. Would you just follow us on Instagram?
Yeah, I remember editing that video.
Right? If you can do nothing else, if you can just follow us on Instagram, that would mean a ton to me. Even if it's a no. And so even our pitch will kind of say something like, hey, even if at the end of, it's like you introduce yourself, blah, 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 whatever, you go through the whole thing, and you right at the end, you're like, even if you say no, you're not interested, if you could just do me one favor. And sometimes they're like, what is it? And I'm like, well, if you're interested, it doesn't matter. If you're not interested, then if you could just do me the favor. And kind of let them make that decision. Follow me on Instagram. Because now if you're Instagram and they're following you, assuming they don't ever unfollow you, they're going to keep seeing that content coming through. And
eventually they're going to need something done to their roof.
Eventually.
And then if they've seen you over and over again, you're going to be the first person they think about.
Yeah.
Whether that's because they like you that much or not. You're just in their brain.
Yeah.
Subconsciously from how much they've seen you in their feed. Mm-hmm. It really works.
So I'm super excited, Thomas, for the things we have coming. Dude, I think this has been an awesome episode.
I think so.
I look forward to the podcast. We got some pretty cool people on. We've got our comic book wall. So as our guests come on, right, we have one coming up soon after this.
Yep.
He's going to be on here. Then we have another one. He's going to get his own comic book, right? We have a couple more scheduled.
And now you got to make a comic book for me.
Yeah. So Thomas, you're going to get your own comic book, bro.
Let's go.
That's awesome. But yeah, I think if you had to give just one 30-second summary of this entire conversation, what suggestions you would make to either roofing companies or people even in our space?
I would say, simply, don't try too hard. Because you want that balance. You don't want people to look at your content and think they're just trying to sell me something. You don't want to look like you're a pushy salesperson on Instagram. Don't try too hard. Make what you know is true. Try and use as many filming techniques as you can. That's a big thing. Write out your scripts. Learn about camera tricks. And you'll do fine.
Nice. That's a good nugget. Well, yeah, if anybody is interested, they can reach out to us too. We have a department, right, that can help them with their social media.
100%.
And if you want, you can comment below. Let us know if you want to be in one of our upcoming Sidekick shows.